Listen, power, listen, power, listen, mother freaking power. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. I just wanted to hop on real quick, man, and show some love, man. Show some love. Give some honors. Do honors and appreciation to Patriarch that just transitioned to my family, man. My grandpa just transitioned, and it's, uh, it's interesting. It's interesting because you can understand death, you can understand energetic transitions and life transitions and all this type of stuff. But if something happens, like your body can take over and react to changes in your DNA and in your timeline. You know, it's a big deal when you have somebody who's an ancestor like that transition. It denotes a change in your inner being as much as it is in your outer being, you know. And considering that was my grandfather on my father's side, it denotes to me the responsibility. I think the responsibility of stepping my manhood up, you know, of stepping my ability to create the world that I desire, you know, and not only that, but also being able to express myself even better than I did before. Um, just ensuring that my voice is heard uh, in life. My voice is heard in the communities and in the environments that I'm in, and I'm not somebody who's in the shadows and in the caves. My grandpa was a great man. He was a great man. I heard a lot of great stories about him. Uh, my father's a great man. You know. So it's in the bloodline. These sorts of dynamics where we meet key people and we are in key positions and we end up being pretty influential in our spheres, in our circles, and I just want to continue to expand and grow that legacy, and not even so to where it's like um, I just want to continue to and stretch the the depth of my genetics through my personal experience. You know, it's not necessarily all about what it is that you're doing out in society and out in the world, out in the public domain, as much as it's important about, you know, what you're doing, you know, personally, you know, on the inside in the private room. You know, what understandings are you gaining? What fears are you overcoming? You know, what emotional battles are you triumphing, you know, and finding ways to overcome? Are you repeating the same patterns, or are you doing something different? Are you learning from your lessons, learning from your experiences, or are you just doing the same thing over and over again? And it was interesting being able to reconnect with my grandpa because uh, I didn't grow up with him in my life, and you know that was and it happened how it needed to happen. But when I got older, I was able to. I made the conscious effort to reconnect because I wanted to know more about my lineage, more about like you know where I came from and you know the genetics that I had inherited because I was raised by my stepfather, so he was the one who really instilled in me in more in a model standpoint, just the values that I hold, because this is how you get the values. You know, it's from your elders, it's from those who the modeling that you receive from those who are placed in authoritative positions in your world. That's how you kind of develop your sense of understanding and parameters about life. So I got a lot of that from my dad, my stepdad. Um, and and that's like I said, mostly through observation, not necessarily through conversation, unless it was like I was in trouble or something like that. But I'm not trying to bash anybody. What I'm getting at though is that eventually I took it upon myself to reach out and want to know more about the lineage, more about where my genes hailed from, and that's when I got to talk to my grandpa, and it was really cool for him to give me some stories, give me some feedback, and a lot of things you can understand and you can figure out by just observation and analysis of a person, in through the conversation, not necessarily always the conversation itself, like for example, just when I hear different tones and when I hear different, in particular the tones, they give me a really good idea of how a person is, and I was able to gather a lot of information from about myself from just being able to talk to my grandfather, just being able to hear his voice, It was like, oh, okay, that's why I kind of am how I am, because my grandfather's voice was very high. It was even when I was growing up, when I was in grade school, I sang soprano and was chosen to lead songs because of the type of voice that I had. It was very soft. I guess it still is to a degree, and I hear that in my father and in my grandfather. It's more of the voice of a counsel, and I feel like we kind of have the spirit to where we counsel the influential. It becomes it almost happens by default that whoever it is that other people are listening to, those individuals end up connecting with us, and then we become an ear to that person, whether they be male or female, um, uh, and then people kind of not necessarily listen to us, but they kind of look at us. You know what I mean? Like just in a certain light because of that you know that favor, and it's something that's inherent. That's the thing. Not everybody gets this sort of inherent favor. And I don't know where it came from, but I know that I've heard it in the stories about my grandfather, and I've heard it and talked to my father about it as well. And I've experienced it in my life, and my sister. All of my siblings experience the same thing. And it's pretty extraordinary. It's a pattern that I picked up on, and everybody has their own patterns in their life. And that's one of the keys to unlocking, I feel, a life of fulfillment and understanding and alignment is being able to not just. I mean, everybody has an idea about what they want to do, and that's important. It's critically important, and also you want to get an idea about, make sure it's in alignment with your programming, your genetic programming. Um, if and then make a decision, and then you can make a decision, because sometimes people are just led by their programming. Not even sometimes, all of the time, until they become conscious about it, or until they become filled with so much passion and vigor, then they override their programming. But outside of that, um, folks are being led, and they don't know it. So it was important for me to reconnect with my family, with my lineage, and my grandfather was the first point of contact. And it was really cool to hear, like I said, those different stories and just to learn more about my lineage. And one of the things that he said that was I had heard stories about us having connections with different people. I was born in Michigan, Flint, Michigan, and I had heard about us having certain just lineage connections with certain people, like certain artists, and but I didn't have anybody to verify that with. And then when I talked to my grandpa when we got to reconnect, I didn't reconnect. It was really just connection, the initial connection to me, because I hadn't really gotten a chance to contact him as an adult. I'm sure it happened when I was a child, but it was nothing that I was aware of. And then as an adult, my early 20s, I reached out back to them and was able to really get just like I said, really key pointers. And I'm the oldest child as well, so not having any older siblings, not having any aunts like that, not any, and by not having any, I mean like I didn't grow up with them. I had relatives, and my dad had sisters and brother and a brother, and my father has siblings, a brother and a sister, and it's a lot of aunts and a lot of cousins, and uncles, obviously from this. But I didn't grow up with these people. You know what I mean? I didn't grow up with them. So if you don't grow up with them, then it kind of makes it feel like they don't exist to you. You know what I mean? Like you could say, hey, this is your aunt, this is your uncle, this is your cousin, this is your, whatever. But if you don't grow up with these people, if you don't have interactions with them on a consistent basis, then it kind of becomes like this is somebody. You know what I mean? But this is not somebody. They're not. There's no relation to. There's no relation. No relation. There's no relating because there's no relationship there. It's a name and and a title that was given, but there's no relationship there. So, um, I really didn't feel like I had a lot of relatives, and I really didn't feel like I had family until I became an adult and started traveling, and then made one on my path of self awareness and understanding, and got to that point to where now I'm beyond theology. I'm more so into like understanding myself in this realm, in this avatar body. Like what is this body that I'm having? Like where did it come from? And what type of attributes does it have? What type of characteristics does it have? I say that, and it sounds like I'm an alien inside of a vessel, and that's kind of like what it is a little bit to a degree. And I think it's a lot of people like that, and it's kind of wild. Um, and I've always been here, you know what I mean? But it's just like I've been observing, I've been observing and taking notes and getting understanding about society and about reality, because I did not know it, and I could not assume that I knew it. I think that's what people are kind of comfortable and assuming that they knew something, and I couldn't be comfortable in that assumption that I know something if I don't know it. I have to actually know it, and then, or at least be aware of it to a degree to where it becomes comfortable for me to know. Okay, I don't necessarily know all about that, but I'm aware of it, and I'm aware of people who know and aware of information that is more in depth about it. So now I know that I can get to that information when I need to get to it. When it's time for me to open up those books and get into that, then that's where I go. And so it was really big. Um, I observed for a long time, and that was a really big point to be able to reconnect with my grandpa. And like I said, he told me that we had certain connections with certain musicians, and I didn't know that my father was a musician either. But he eventually told me. I think I found out a couple years ago. So I'm 38 years old, and I just found out like a couple years ago that my father was a musician, and I always wondered why I had a certain type of ear, a certain type of ability to find keys and tones and chords. I guess that's not common, and I didn't know that. And it's because I do have a musician's ear, and I just found that out. But this is the importance of being able to reconnect with your family and being able to have these conversations and being able to have records and logs if you can possibly have that. And I've spoken to many parents about that. I've spoken to many of my relatives about that. Nobody really cares, and it's sad to say, but that's just kind of what it is. This is what the truth is. Nobody really gives a damn. Nobody kind of wants to put the effort in to make those recordings, to make those sorts of logs. But you can do just what I'm doing right now. Just turn on the camera, turn on the live, and just start talking about situations. It's not about having an audience. It's about being able to put things on record so that it can be on record for you. You know what I mean? Or it can be on record for someone that you care about. Who knows who I might, who knows what can happen tomorrow? You know what I mean? Who knows what can happen? But at least I have some things that I put on record that I could share with my niece and nephew, you know, niece and nephews, and my siblings, and they'll be able to just know more about me. They'll be able to know more about my spirit. Some things they may not understand at all. Some things I try to explain as best as I can. Some things I talk about more in person. I talk about better in person. But the main thing is just having some sort of log and some sort of record and some sort of connection, some sort of continuity with like who your inner being is. Because a lot of times people are kind of they don't want to really like divulge themselves. They kind of feel some type of way about just expressing themselves. and maybe they feel shame, or maybe they feel, just don't want to be vulnerable. But it's important that we be vulnerable. If to nobody else, we be vulnerable to our families. Be vulnerable to the people that we care about. In particular, like the lessons and the information that we may have, that we may be aware of. That we may not know, and be open and willing to say, hey, listen, I don't know this. But look into this, look into this, look into deja vu. Hey, I've been wondering about deja vu for decades. I never was able to figure that shit out. But if you find out anything about deja vu, talk to me about it. Let me know about it. Hey, I don't know shit about goddamn on uh, Bermuda's Triangle. But I always wondered about Bermuda's Triangle. I heard about that shit, But if you find out anything about, what I mean, like, this is like this sort of information, these sort of conversations, they don't happen amongst families. Like, where is a person in their internal development about reality and about their experience, where that person is, and being able to share that, being vulnerable enough to share that with somebody else and say, hey, listen, you know what? Let's look more into that. Let's look more into this. Let's look more into that. And this is how you build a school of thought and a continuity of thought within a family structure, within family units, and oftentimes we don't have these sorts of things within these family units at all. And we're looking outside of our family unit for information. We're looking outside of our family unit for confirmation of information, for understanding. And we're not developing any sort of continuity of understanding within our family units, within our family structures. So now we're being led as a society because families aren't able to think on their own. They're not thinking on their own. They're being led by somebody else. They're being led by a leader or somebody who is a authoritative figure. But there is no library. There is no. Remember, in the day they used to have homes carried encyclopedias, and they had, and it was commonplace. It was people door to door selling, going all over, and was going to sell, encyclopedias to somebody, and they would be in the homes, and it would just be a library of information. It just felt like there was a library of information within the home. Now, obviously, this is still coming from a particular source, but that wasn't the only source. People would have books. People would have their own collections of books in their homes, and this is because there was, and I just feel like that this sort of thing we have gotten away from, and we have a lot of information at our fingertips now with these books, but we're just not having these conversations that I feel like that would be beneficial to have, so that we can make strides in our families and in our communities. You know what I mean? Like, I have a hard time having relatives, having nieces and nephews being born, and knowing that they are getting vaccinated, you know what I mean? Or they are getting injected. These babies are being born, but they're getting injected with things that I don't know the full repercussions of those things. And I really care about my nieces and nephews. I care about my families. So now I got to kind of halfway care because I don't want to be offensive to my relatives. But I'm like, so that puts me in a spot to where if I connect all the way, then I'm not trying to intrude, but I care and I want to talk about certain things. If I talk about certain things and you don't have, and you're not thinking about those things, or you don't have the capacity to say you don't have the capacity to know that I'm coming from a space of care. I'm not trying to come from a space of I know it all or anything like that. It's just like, hey, check this out, because these are babies. Like, it's different when you're talking to adults. I don't give a fuck about what you put in your body as an adult. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do as an adult. Anybody can do what they want to do as an adult. But as a childs are dependent upon adults and people and guardians to be able to guide them in the best way that the guardian knows how, because we are at war. You know what I mean? It's like, and it kind of gets brushed aside. It's kind of like, but to a degree, we are at war. You know what I mean? Like, we're at war against a corporate system, a corporate machine, a commercial machine that has consistently placed profits over people, consistently placed health as an afterthought. As an afterthought, health is an afterthought. The well-being of the mind, in the body, in the hearts of people is an afterthought to those who they are investing in. It's an afterthought to those people. So these brands that are being supported, these same brands are the ones that are destroying your communities, and they are destroying the environments that you say that you care about and that you want your children to grow up in. But yet, like I said, I get put in a position to where I have to care, but not care too much, because then if I care too much, we have certain conversations, and these certain conversations can be offensive because people aren't willing to make adjustments to their lifestyle because they are comfortable with their lifestyle, or they're comfortable with doing things that are destructive. But if I'm looking at you do something that's destructive to you, if I don't say anything to you about that, then I'm not caring about you like I say I care about you. It's not about even you having to change anything. This is just about, are you aware of it? Are you making sure that the babies are being protected? You know, you're gonna do whatever you want to do, but are we making sure that we put for the best efforts for the babies? Or are we making sacrifices because the babies can't talk? You know, and we kind of don't care right now because we kind of have to make sure that we take care of these other things that we got to take care of, which we do have to take care of. We got to take care of other shit. But it's like, damn, it's a hell of a situation. Being aware and still caring about those who may not be as aware, and then finding a fine line to have relationships that are not that don't become toxic because somebody feels like they're trying to impose a particular viewpoint on another person, or people don't want to honor people's perspectives because it's different. Especially like I said, when you start to look at the data and you start to look at the information, now it becomes about, are you in your ego, or are you about the truth and the development? Nobody's going to do everything perfect, but it's just about being mindful about what we're doing in these situations, and how much effort are we really putting into uh, um, our family units and our family structures. You know what I mean? And if we're not going to put much effort into it, then let's just be honest about that shit. Let's just be transparent about it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you know, it's okay. You know, everybody want to do what they want to do. It's okay. You know, but it's I don't like to put on the show. I don't like the game of, hey, let's act like we care, but we don't really. You know what I mean? And it's not even no problem. It's not even no issue. It's just the fact that I wish I was able to talk to my grandfather more about some of the things that I would like to talk about. You know, I wish I was able to talk to him about, hey, I wish we had more facilities. I wish we had more infrastructure in place, more holistic infrastructure in place. So I can say, hey, listen, Grandpa, yeah, I know you're kind of accustomed to going to these places and they're kind of taking care of you and you got all the benefits and stuff like that. But hey, check out this spot over here, this space over here. It's a better space to for recovery for the environment itself, because of the structure of the building is prime for regeneration. It's prime for cellular regeneration. Just the building alone, you don't have to hook up no machines. You just walk inside the building, and because of the structure of the building, it's prime for cellular regeneration. That's the type of stuff that I'm talking about, and that's the type of stuff that needs to be in place, and that's the type of stuff that's coming in place. But we need a shift in commercial responsibility and commercial accountability, because we still have so many companies, we have so many organizations that are making a lot of money, but we're not making these adjustments in our society, and we're not making these adjustments in our infrastructure. So why is this? All the money is there. All of the money is there. It's a decision. It's an investment of time and attention. Is that what the issue is? Dr. Mark Johnson, a hell of resources, hella education. I don't see the progression of his plan. And it's not even about depending on nobody else's plan. It's just about being aware of what's going on. Like, it's just, you know, are we is it about putting on the show? Is that what it's about, the show? Because that's okay if that's what it's about. It's hard for me to play that game, but at least I'll be able to be like, okay, well, fuck all that. Let me just focus on just my family. You know what I mean? Let me just focus on building my family up, and the people that are around us, the people that care that are around us. You know, and that's what it should be about anyway. But of course, you know, you look outside of you and you just see different things. You see different figures, and you hear conversations, and you know, you just want the best, and you look for camaraderie, and you look for tribes, and you look for community, and then you just see different things, and you root for that, and you hope that works, and then you find out that, okay, well, damn, that didn't play out how it should have. That would have been most beneficial for everybody involved. That didn't play out for, you know, the communities over there. That didn't play out for the investors over there. It's like, damn, you know what I mean? That shit. Like, I feel like, you know, like with as many spiritual institutions that are established all across the country, you know, it should be no and as much information as available now, it should be no doubt about like how to actually like transition from this life to the next life, um, with great ease and great joy. Like there should be no confusion about what goes on, and why we live a certain type of lifestyle, um, because we understand what goes on. You know, like it's. I just feel like it should be more, and it's not anything. Like I can tell. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people, young and old. You know, and a lot of people just don't know what is going to happen once they leave this body. You know, and they don't have a clue, and some don't want to know. You know, there's actually a lot of information about this phenomenon. You know, there's a lot of information about this experience. You know, and it's hard to care about folks, especially when you know that they're getting older, and or they may be getting more, their health may be declining, or that you just see that they don't care about it. You know, and you just want to talk to them about things. You just want to talk to people about things. You know, you just want to understand things. You know, I want to understand, and it just those conversations are really hard to have sometimes. So then you just have to kind of like a half-assed relationship. You know what I mean? And that's not ideal. Nobody really wants that. I don't want that. I ain't gonna say what the fuck nobody else wants. Everybody wants what they want. But I like I don't really like I like meaningful talk. I like talk that is that's deep, and it has an effect. It has a lingering effect, and it's something that can be recalled upon through an emotional state. I like those sorts of I like light conversations too. I like having a good time. I like talking trash and joking around. But I really feel like there's enough people that have those sorts of light conversations. It's important to have deep, introspective, deep revealing conversations, so that we can get so that we can make these changes. You know, and like these like these conversations are what lead to change. You know, the conversations are what do it. It's amazing, but it is true. And not just the conversations, but the effect that they could have to an individual psyche. Individuals being able to have hope restored. Individuals being able to have a wider lens to be able to view things from. Sometimes, if you get into the details, it can feel like you are burdened. It can feel like there is no remedy. But if you can sometimes scale it, step out, and see things on a broader scale, then you can kind of see the blueprint. You can kind of see the path, purpose, and you can get more clarity, even though you're not as detailed and zoomed into your particular life as you were. Being able to take a step back and understand how you fit into the grand scheme, and how you are playing a big part in the development and the advancement of emotional IQ and awareness. Then you kind of, it makes it easier to bear sometimes. But the main thing I just wanted to touch on, just give him honors to my grandpa, and I just wanted to touch on relationships, and just the desire to really want to spread more awareness about transitions, and the life transitions, and what we call death, and what we call the end is the beginning. And there's a lot of documentation on this, and it's important, I think, for families to begin to talk about these things more and more, because it's a lot of infiltration in the communities to extinguish life, and to extinguish hope, and to extinguish creativity. It's in a creation, to extinguish creation and creators. It's a lot of that. So I think when we shed light and awareness into these spaces of turmoil, and into these spaces that are kind of dark and not really popular, I think it alleviates control. It alleviates fear, and it empowers people. And like I said, it takes the control back, and it allows you the opportunity to make choices and decisions that you understand the fullness of them now. You know what I mean? Like, you may not have understood the fullness of, you know, whatever before. You know what I mean? But through different lenses and through different conversations, and being exposed to other perspectives and avenues of understanding, and it just makes it easier to bring it all full circle. So that was all I wanted to touch on. Just giving honest to my grandpop and sharing thanks and gratitude for his mind and his genetics and his diligence and his will to get up and his will to survive and thrive in his own way in this world and in this nation and in this country of where it's a lot of people that look like us, not celebrated, you know what I mean, and not given even a chance sometimes to make better for their family and make an advancement for their legacy and for their lineage. You know, they're not even given that chance and opportunity sometimes. So for him to endure and for him to continue to get up every day and find a reason to not take yourself out sometimes is an accomplishment. Because some people do. You understand what I'm saying? Some people do, and I'm not knocking anybody for making any decision that they choose to make. People handle these pressures however they choose to handle them. You know what I mean? They handle these pressures however they choose to handle them. And people like to point fingers at other people for whatever, however they choose to handle it. But that's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. What this is about is finding ways to connect and finding ways to give and finding ways to share love and compassion with as many people and with as many beings as you can. You know, I feel like that's what this is about. And in doing that, you're met with roller coaster. You're met with a roller coaster of experiences that's trying to take your ability to be able to do that. You're met with a roller coaster of experiences to try to take your ability to be able to find ways to connect with other people and find ways to have shared bliss experiences with other beings external from yourself. Well, and the illusion of that. And the challenge is staying that course and not allowing your heart to get hard to the point where you don't want to connect with people, where you don't honor the God that's within them, like you honor the God that's within you, or like you honor the God that you feel is external from you. You know, you should be honoring and loving and finding compassion and care with as many people as you can comfortably expand your ability to tune in with without jeopardizing who you are, you know, without jeopardizing the core of your being, your principles, your integrity, what makes you you. You know what I'm saying? And it's a fine line there because sometimes what makes people them is trauma. So they'll hold on to this trauma and they'll make it a part of their personality, make it a part of their ego, and then what doesn't resonate with them, they try to say that is adverse and it's wrong, it's fucked up, it's not in alignment. But you're not in alignment with the best version of yourself yet. So what you're trying to say is not in alignment with you. It's because you're not in alignment with the best version of yourself yet. So what you're seeing that you're trying to judge adversely, you wouldn't judge adversely if you had actually healed through your trauma and changed your lens, change your perspective. But that's another conversation. Everybody has their work. You know, everybody has their journey. Everybody has their order of lessons. You know, everybody has their particular order of lessons that they have to understand in this life. And this is why looking at the vibrational makeup of it through astrological natal chart is very paramount. It's very paramount to just understanding where is your starting point. Everybody's starting point is different. Everybody's starting point is different. That is how you get your. It was revealed to me to call it the soul blueprint. That's what it felt like to me when I was trying to figure out like who am I, because I didn't have connections in relations to my family. I didn't have connections to my genealogy like this. I'm thankful for all of my experiences. I'm just explaining these dynamics, and I'm just also giving honor to my grandfather at the same time of just expressing myself and expressing what I've been made aware of. Because without his genes, without his part of my genealogy, I'm sure I wouldn't be me. You know, I wouldn't be me. And I'm thankful that I'm me. I'm thankful. And other people are thankful that I'm me too. I'm thank God for them. You know, thank the Supreme Being for them. Thank Lord connection for them. But you know, for those who have the ability to connect with their ancestors, you know, it's a great thing. It's an important thing to ask those questions to understand what type of jobs did your ancestors have, what type of career did they have, you know, what type of hobbies did they have, what type of interests did they have, you know what I mean? These are important questions to know because you have been, you know, outside of your personality, you already had a certain disposition, you already had a certain program, and you can change it, you can make modifications for sure. But my passion is the home. My passion is like the family and children and little people. And it's like they have a certain type of programming that is pure. And as parents, we're not taking into account this programming. We're taking into account what it is that we kind of want the children to do based off of what's happening in society, you know. And each children have a mind of their own, you know. And it's just important to try to understand that the vibrational makeup. But there's a lot of things you can understand through astrological chart about children. There's a lot that I understood about my son. You know, he can't tell me necessarily by himself. He was 12 years old when he was living with me for a time, and he can't necessarily tell me about himself like that. And so it's my responsibility as his father to try to get as much intel as I can and try to guide his course as best as I can. You know, and you know, we're trying to do this. We're trying to do this at the same time of guiding our own course, trying to figure our own shit out. You know what I mean? And that's a blessing if you're even doing that. That's a blessing if you're even doing that. Some people not trying to do none of that shit either. They're not giving a fuck about none of that. They watching their games, they watching their movies, they watching their shows. You know, they're not thinking about their ancestral trauma. They're not thinking about these atrocities that have taken place in the environment that they are raising their children in. The atrocities that are taking place right now. Like right now. I heard a fucked up story the other day about some old Walmart shit. God damn. A fucked up story. I was like, damn, is it for real? Like, what is taking place right now? You know, it was, and the gist of it was that the dang on children that are on the Walmart board about them being missing is also fucking marketing. Also marketing. I'm not gonna not talk about things anymore. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna not talk about things anymore to make people comfortable. I want deeper relationships. That means I also need to be vulnerable. That also means I need to be able to talk about things and be able to be in environments where people are gonna look at me crazy as hell. And I'm used to that, but I have been trying to like push that off a little bit, you know, like not do it as much because it's just you know, at the decades, you know, year after year after year after year, that shit, it kind of, you know, it's like, damn, I kind of want to not be, you know, disruptive all the time. Not trying to be disruptive. Fuck around, be disruptive as hell in work environments. Not even trying to be a disruptor. Just trying to, you know, be real about what's going on. But I'm thankful that my grandpa had the courage, like I said, to hang in there. You know what I mean? My mom gave me stories. Like I'm just gonna be vulnerable. You know, just talk. My mom just telling stories about and he used to do it though. He used to say all the time, just speak about the agony, you know what I mean? And just how he was ready to go, you know, just be taken out. And I laugh now, you know, it's funny only because of the drama, you know what I mean? The drama of it all, you know what I mean? And you know, but people's hearts are crying out, you know what I mean? Like people's hearts are crying out in their own way, you know what I mean? And that's one thing I understood about my grandpa early on is that, you know, his heart was hurting. I can see that my father, you know, and it's like that to me in my world a little bit, but not as much, but to a degree, because from the weight and just life, you know what I mean? Like, and man, we everybody deals with it. We just all handle it in our own way. You know what I mean? Some people don't deal with it as much as other people because of their lack of awareness. But when you become more aware, you may deal with it even more because now you start to see so many things. But it's also about how you are seeing those things as well that makes them the perspective that they are in. But as a melanated individual, you know, it's just a lot of it's quite the journey, and to be able to find a reason to get up and find a reason to have joy and find a reason to laugh and find a reason to just make the best of your moments, you know, is thank you, Greg, I feel you. It's quite the accomplishment. It's quite the achievement, you know. And I just wanted to make sure I gave him honors and gave you know, just more appreciation and make sure that you know it's just on record how great of a man he was and how great of a man he is and how great of a blueprint that he left in his own way. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna keep talking, matter of fact. I'm gonna keep talking because you know you don't really get enough honors when you're alive. You don't really get enough. You know, and nobody can really give you enough honors when you are present still. You know, you can't really get enough. It's not an ego thing. It's just like when you do things for people, when people do things for you, you know what I mean? It's like some of those things are priceless. And you can't really it only takes one thing, it only takes one time. You know, for somebody to just say something to you that can change your life, that can enhance your life. And that's not talking about being a part of your birth. You know what I mean? Like that's not talking about that. That's not talking about somebody who was a part of like you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them being there. You know what I mean? That's big. That's a big deal. And that for that being the transition is a big deal. You know, and it opens up opportunities for more clarity, and it opens up opportunities for deeper interaction. You know, for deeper interaction. As wild as that may sound, you know, you get the opportunity sometimes to interact with ancestors even deeper than you could have whenever because they have a lot of people have a lot of barriers up because of their ego, personality. Uh, but once they transition, though, you can start to tune in. You can start to get all sorts of stories and get all sorts of insights, and you have walk-in situations to where you know they get to experience life through your vessel, you know, to a degree. You know what I mean? I mean, you've seen this type of stuff on these movies. It's like ghost movies. You've seen this type of stuff. It's no accident. It's not just fiction or you know. It's this stuff is for real. You know, and so you get deeper levels of interaction sometimes depending on how open of a channel that you are, and how clear your lens, how clear your clairs are, how clear your extrasensory um, organs are. If that makes sense. But my genes were a certain type of man, a very caring, but also very strong man. You know what I mean? Like really walk the line uh, as fine as you could walk it. You know what I mean? Like very much a heart centered man when we are clear. You know what I mean? But if not, it can turn into rage and and it's just something that I've seen. It's in my bloodline. Not everybody has that though. You know what I mean? Like everybody has different things, but we have a lot of care, especially we're talking about men as well. We're talking about the men, and we attract very strong women. You know, we attract very like alpha women, um, and I see that with all of my siblings. I see that with all of my male siblings. They all attract alpha women. We all attract alpha women, Now, one woman that I've been with has been like a weaker woman. You know what I mean? Like or a more submissive woman. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't need to be told what to do. That type of woman. You know what I mean? Like she knows what she wants to do, and she's going to go and do it. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of woman that we attract. And good luck trying to stop her. You can guide her a little bit, and then that's if you're lucky, you know. But so I needed to understand those type of dynamics because being a man who is more caring and isn't as forthcoming can be mistaken as a softness, as a weakness. You know, it can be not that you are allowing because of the strength. You know, you are allowing because of you know the power that you hold. But also, it just let me know that there was also some work that I need to do as far as just expanding myself and making sure that I understand uh, just my particular dynamics with me. You know what I mean? Because everybody has their own dynamics, and I can't follow somebody else's dynamics and be successful for me. Um, I have to understand me, and this also leads to just uh, being aware of my ancestors and my lineage, you know, and understanding the type of man that I am. Um, like I said, people don't know who they are, and then they just kind of follow suit, and they kind of follow what they feel is popular, or they follow who they feel somebody else is that is receiving more approval, and they lose themselves, or they never even find themselves, and then they get to a point space into their life to where they are lost completely because they've gone year after year of not even considering who they were. They just wanted to be popular. You know, they just wanted to be approved and well received, and not have the comfort of being a unique individual. Especially as a man, it's very hard for because men typically are comfortable like impacts, comfortable with their approval of other men, and this is why gangs are so popular. You don't have like a lot of female gangs, you know, but you have a lot of male gangs, and it's because of that type of that energy of wanting to be in a pack. And as a man, you have to have the courage to kind of like stand on your own and even be willing to go against the pack. You know what I mean? Like, but um, not because you are just want to be sure that you are more dominant than them, but because you are strong in your own accord. You know what I mean? And you're not somebody to be led um, any type of way that's adverse to wherever you want to go. As a man, you have to have that ability to be able to do that. Otherwise, you're not a man. You know? And that leads me to another aspect of what I observe in society is a lot of men that aren't really men. You know, they're not really standing as men. You know what I mean? They kind of are scared to stand as a man. You know, and but that term standing as a man is often misconstrued as as paying bills. You know what I mean? Like um, paying a bill is not what makes you a man or an adult. You know what I mean? Like it's that being able to say those sorts of things and stand on that as what makes you a man as an adult shows the depth of programming that you have. You know what I mean? And it is important for you to handle responsibilities. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you define a man as somebody who was able to go to one place to receive substance to give to another place that substance to to sustain oneself, that's what makes you a man. That's what makes you an adult. Then, like I said, it makes you a cog in a machine. That's not somebody who is thinking. Now you have to be grounded. You have to have the ability to move within the machine as best as possible. But you also need to understand that there is a machine, and you have to be thinking as a operator of a machine. And operator of the machine is a supreme being. So as a man, in order to really to me, and I feel like as an adult, in order for you to really step into an adulthood, you have to be thinking. You have to be thinking on a level of the supreme being, or the level of a, a ruler of your world, or a creator of your world, I should say, not necessarily a ruler. Uh, and that being in harmony with the environment outside of you and the environment inside of you. And by the environment inside of you, I mean your ancestral lineage. Like, what is your ancestral lineage like? Because in what ways are you connecting with it? In the environment in which they inhabit. Because usually a nation of people or a tribe of people is connected with their land or an environment of some sort. And these are all just, I think, factors in being able to really live with purpose in adulthood. Live with purpose in life. Is all of these types of things that I'm talking about, all of these different perspectives. Because, like I said, um, there's a lot of adults that are just cogs in the machine, and there are not a lot of children. There are a lot of children, a lot of little people being born that were not born as cogs in the machine. So you run into these scenarios where harmonies are in dysfunction because nobody's wanting to understand the other. One generation isn't wanting to understand the other, and it's up to the elders to understand the younger, to understand the youth, and understand like how to guide them and how to understand them, and what their vibe is, so that they can, that respect and the connection of the heart can be established, so that respect can be given. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's the order that it goes in. Uh, but as a just as men, as people, as adults, I think it's just important to share as much personal awareness as you can, and but also give the freedom and the luxury for people to be who they are. Because people are trying to, like, people feel like they need to recreate a legion, or recreate like a template, and that's not your duty. Like, your job is to recreate the template. The template is already inherent. The template is established when it chooses to come forth. Your responsibility is to understand what the template is, and to support that template into progressing itself, because that is what furthers the experience of the supreme being. That is what furthers the experience of uh, consciousness experiencing itself. That's what furthers the awareness. It's each particular template, divine in its own accord, being guided to its most fruitful, most loving, its most uh, fulfilling aspect of itself. And everybody has their own thing, you know what I mean? So I like, I'm just thankful. I'm just thankful that I was able to talk to my grandfather, and just see where he's at, and I just look forward to being able to make strides and make improvements as best as I can, and try to fill in certain gaps as best as I can, as far as the things that I know I need to work on. The things that I need to develop to become a better version of myself. I just want to. I ask for clarity and insight from my ancestors, and the humility to continue to progress, and to grow, and to find different ways to contribute to other people's lives. In whatever way the supreme being sees fit. So, thank you, Grandpa, for your life. I thank you for your service. I thank you for the contributions that you made into our world. I think just your presence, your strength, the fortitude to be able to get up. Like I said, being able to get up, being able to move forward, being able to find reasons to experience life and to deal with the turmoil, to deal with the stressors. It's a lot of people that have a lot of battles, and the battle doesn't have to make sense to you. You just need to know that people are in battle, and the heart of the supreme being is you're gonna want to armor up, and you're gonna want to find ways to help them win their battles. That's God's heart. That's Christ consciousness. That's the heart of the Christ. Is when you see people in their battles, and it's not like these are when you see people in their battles, you want to help them win. You want to help them overcome them. You want to help them achieve. Not saying you need to drain your whole life and give into them and deplete yourself, but you want to drop something in their world to help them win, because that's you. You know what I mean? And the people that you see around you are you. You know, and like I said, everybody's not going to resonate with everything, but when you feel that resonating energy, when you feel that desire, don't fight it. Be willing to give. Be willing to say those words of encouragement. Be willing to give that ear. Because you never know how you are enhancing somebody's world. You never know how you're giving somebody more time. You know what I mean? Giving them the energy to have more time on this planet. You know what I mean? Not to give up on themselves. Not to give up on their family. Not to give up on their lover. Not to give up on being loved. You know what I mean? You never know how you're able to help contribute into somebody's worlds. Worlds, multiple levels to this thing. So thank you, Grandpa, man. I appreciate you. And you make me just want to become more mindful of making sure that I reach out as an elder. Because I can't expect a lot of times as a OG, as an elder, somebody who put in time. You know what I mean? You just be up in your space, and you be like, why isn't somebody coming to reach out to me? Why isn't somebody calling me? And it's like, nah, that's not how that should work. It should be the elders taking that time to reach out to the youngsters, to the younger folks. You know what I mean? That's what it should be. That's how it's supposed to go. It's not about the people, older people. And it's a lot of folks. They be in their homes, and they be in retirement homes. They be in these spaces. They be in these places. And it's one thing when you have invested in those children. It's one thing you've been invested, but it's sometimes people, they haven't planted those seeds. They haven't planted those words of encouragement, those seeds of inspiration. You know what I mean? And they just haven't given to that next generation. But then they want that next generation to sacrifice for them. You know what I mean? And to give up their life, and to give up their comforts, and to give up what they're building for them. But it's like, well, whenever I was growing up, whenever that person was growing up, did the elders reach out? Did they take the time from their day and from what they were building to reach out and just hear out whatever somebody had going on in their world? You know what I mean? Did they reach out and just check in on them and say, hey, listen, hang in there, young fella, hang in there, young lady. Keep doing what you're doing. I see you doing this. I see you doing that. I see you making these strides. I see you making these plans. Stay on that. You can do it. Stay on that. If you need any help, it's a lot of times that's not what's taking place. You just get the complaints of the elders. You get the complaints of them not feeling appreciated, not feeling like they're being honored, or not understanding, what the younger people are doing, or what's, they're not. You get those complaints, but you don't get the active effort to reach out and understand them and to care for them and to just try to, like I said, even if they don't, like, I'm not, like, I just always try to make an effort to reach out and make sure that I gave more of an effort than what was given to me. You know what I mean? Like I said, I didn't have any older brothers or sisters. So I didn't even really have an example of how you're supposed to be an older brother or sister. You know what I mean? I just tried to do the best that I could. And then when I started to find out what was most important, I tried to make sure that I was diligent enough in those paths and in that awareness to where I could share it and know that it would be something that could be a treasure, because you have to dig pretty deep to get to certain levels of awareness and understanding beyond the veils. And if I could help people transcend the time lapse that could take place, then I would do that, especially my siblings, and especially the siblings that and especially young folks that are around me that I come across, younger folks that are around me that I come across. You know what I mean? At any age, of any ethnicity, any nationality, if I could drop some game into their world that I know is going to give them more clarity on their purpose, then I'm going to give that. I'm going to share that, and I make it. I make a conscious effort to do that. You know, it's not something that I'm even always asked, and sometimes I don't do it. You know what I mean? It just depends, but more times than not, especially when it comes to folks that are in my lineage, folks that are in my descendants, my bloodline, my environment, you know, I usually more time than not try to just um, drop something in their world, you know what I mean, to just give them some encouragement, some sort of inspiration, you know what I mean. And we just need more people to do that, um, of every stage in their life, of every age, of every stage of stability, you know what I mean, and security. We need more and more of that. And more than anything, we just need more people to be compassionate and just understanding of the differences. You know what I mean? Do what you do and be who you are. Just make sure you're not trying to shit on nobody else in being that. You know, and you'll always have my respect. You always have my appreciation and my desire to want to give and to contribute to whatever it is that you're trying to build. You know what I mean? And, so I just want to make sure I gave some time and some energy and some appreciation and honors to my grandpa. But I know this conversation is probably about a wider range of stuff. It probably didn't make no sense at all. But at the end of the day, it just boils down to me just having gratitude for the people that walk the path of life before me, the people that that set the bar and like I said, just walk the path. 'Cause, some people check out, you know what I mean? Some people are checked out, and some people check out. And I don't knock anybody for making any decision that they choose to make. You know what I mean? Because everybody got their own disposition and handles everything in their own way. But I'm thankful that my grandpa he endured and he pushed and he showed up whenever it was time for him to show up and give back. So, listen, power, love, and prosperity, joy and abundance to everybody, anybody. And I appreciate you. I love you. I cherish you. I'm excited for your world. I'm excited for your growth. You may all of your dreams be realized and made manifest and be shared with the people that you care about, the people that care about you. Thank you. Forever love. Commit to the grit. Commit to the great.